It's week 1, day 4. We're back in the LPL, the best region in the world, and I get to continue to say that until I lose at Worlds. So if you get tired of hearing it Twitch chat, get ready to hear it for another 10 more weeks, because then we never get to say it again. No, I'm just kidding. But that said, I'm joined here by Clement Chu. And Clement, I believe you actually have an article on LoL Esports that I'm going to take the time to plug. So this is going to be our sponsor opportunity. Tell me what your article's about.
It's about the 10 LPL players you need to know. We've selected 10 players that represent their roles the best. They are the North Stars for their positions, and they each bring a unique style. If you want to find your way in League of Legends and you want to kind of shape up your own game, this is a great article to read, and it's also a great article to read if you want to know more about the LPL. And
it's also just a good time to read about what Clement has, because little known fact, Clement's actually a genius, which is why we're going to go into a bit of a meta discussion here as we prepare Game 2 for Suning versus Vici. You like that segue?
Yeah. I'm actually like, I'm really uncomfortable about my intelligence. So
okay. I'm just trying to inflate the ego. So you wanted to talk specifically about kind of the 3 different meta compositions that we've seen, or 3 different types of meta composition. So run me through them.
Okay, so we've seen 3 booster strats. Let's be really candid. This is where it came from, and we're seeing Mordekaiser plus Shyvana, Nunu plus Karthus, known as Nuthis, and we have the Master Yi plus Taric. Now, all of these 3 have one thing in common, is that they scale very hard into the late game. They're not very difficult to execute, and also they are more focused on a jungle carry position. Now, the reason why we're seeing this quite often a lot of times is that it's actually very difficult to deal against if you don't know what you're doing. All 3 of these compositions, they can push into the mid lane and then also take your jungle. So they do snowball incredibly hard. And this also applies to Fire Rain so far. He has not played a traditional mage so far this split. And in fact, he's actually gone back to the Mordekaiser and try his hand at something else.
And when you say go back, like Fire Rain, when he first joined Vici, he was supposed to be the Mordekaiser guy. Like when we saw that Fire Rain was starting over EasyHoo, and all of us like stopped, like, yes, we're gonna get Mordekaiser every single game, and yet we haven't seen it out of Vici yet. And when you have a hard carry jungler like Swift, it makes so much sense that they would go towards this type of style to funnel all of the resources into Swift.
They have tried it once, but we have to say it didn't work out. So I'm throwing this segment out here because I do expect Fire Rain to go back to that. And I think Swift is the perfect carry jungler to go for that style.
Well, there's the prediction from Clement. So we're going to see if we're going to go towards that Mordekaiser, try to beef up Swift, or this is going to be a 2-0. Rusty Pulse, take it away.
Thank you for asking. You know, I'm always game to talk about some Mordekaiser, so indeed, we are going to talk about some Mordekaiser. We saw it once out of Fire Rain so far, but he didn't play in the Fire Rain carry style. He played in the, I'm just going to get wrecked in laning phase and all my farm's going to go to the jungler.
And that's the other thing as well, right? Like, he definitely comes in as a historied Mordekaiser player, but I don't think he spent a whole lot of time dealing with a jungler that takes all of the resources around him. I have a feeling that he's more adept at taking the resources and trying to carry on that champion. And look, that's a flex that's always a potential for them. They just want to change up their play styles, maybe get the Nunu in the jungle instead of have the Kanu combo, or the Nuthis, as it's now been described by Clement. Then you could maybe just give Mordekaiser the carry potential, because why not? It's Fire Rain.
The way it was described by Clement, but also the only way you can describe that combination. As Suning Gaming and Vici will go into Game 2. Suning chose blue for this one, and there will, of course, be no subs, as you can see. We're going to be banning away Camille, Zoe, and Morgana if we're Suning Gaming, and Vici will take away that Lucian, Lulu, and Talia as we look towards our first pick, and it is going to be a champion,
a Vladimir or
which
Aurelia.
Is...
But Shao is just going through his entire champion pool to make it really known what he can play.
Irelia. I was trying to go on for that run-on sentence there, Rusty. It wasn't working out for me because Shao was not locking anything in. It will be Irelia as our first pick.
Yeah, so again, on the opposite side, if you were Vici, you would be taking away the Vladimir, getting rid of the potential of a double flex in roles so that you can flex yourself. And, I mean, Vladimir Yasuo, weirdly enough, you wouldn't go for the Yasuo this early, could be picked as 2 flexes that could go everywhere on the Rift. You just really have no idea anymore. But alongside that, I would like to see a jungler, something that hasn't been banned just yet, but you could still get priority, something like the Graves for Swift.
This is also one of the very few metas where top lane and mid lane and bot lane have all kind of become intertwined, and there are very many picks who can go in each one of those roles. So as we get down to the 20-second mark, that's the last time you can swap your champions. We might get to a situation where top lane and mid lane will keep on swapping, trying to get the better matchup, because Aurelia will do well into Vladimir, but then maybe Vladimir will do better into a different matchup.
Oh god, I hope that never happens.
Hey, there's a chance. I think there's a one meta where it actually could happen. Nocturne's going to be the pickup there. There's the jungler you were talking about. I stuttered for a second because I just see Hacker swap up to Master Yi for a second. My
Xin is a strong champion, so I would be surprised if the Yi was actually locked in here. But when you know you're against the Nocturne, you could actually play the Yi. That gives you a couple seconds of free hits, and that's also the time where a Taric can be getting the ult off. So in terms of duos there, the Taric Yi would have potentially worked. However, not to be seen. Maybe just half of it. Not yet. Not even half of it.
One day I'll get to cast a Yi game. Sunny Gaming will lock in their Alistair. So it's going to be a takeaway from Caveman as well. But I don't know what Caveman's mental state is currently with his Alistair. So we'll see what
Mega boom.
Mega boom.
Like the biggest boom.
Yeah, not going to be great for certain. Sunny Gaming are looking towards their bot lane now. Though it could also be Aurelia down there. Vici will lock in their Yasuo once again. Fire Rain most likely going to be taking that one under his wing.
Can still go to Snow, though, and Snow seems like he could be a very decent Yasuo player, loves himself the abstract so far, and hasn't been too bad on it. Alongside having the Nocturne, however, if you have the Yasuo Nocturne, the kill threat very high through that mid-jungle duo, something that wasn't all that successful in the first game for them to find the gank, but once they found it, the kill was secured, so definitely a lot of damage potential coming from that duo. What they need, Vici, is crowd control and something that is tanky. Two things that were missing from that last game because the Alistar fell behind. They can just pick something that is naturally so in terms of tankiness. Ornn's still there. Mundo actually still there.
Singe and Swain will join the ban list from Vici, and Sunny Gaming will take away the Shen. Shen nowadays definitely been rising up the rankings in top lane.
I would ban the Ornn personally here. Whilst we mentioned the Mundo is a decent pick, it's not crowd control, something that the composition would absolutely love. Knockups, engages for Fire Rain, or for the Yasuo, I should say, not for Fire Rain, to be able to go forwards. Ornn ban would make the most sense, especially when he's a bruiser player in that top lane, Xiaowao.
And there you go, Ornn will be the final ban. Mundo gets banned when he pleases, and it won't be now. So there is a possibility for Sunny Gaming or Vici to pick that one up here. 20 seconds on the clock for Snow. We'll see where his head's at.
Now, Vici getting that first pick, however, you'd go towards the support. You want to actually flex the remaining champions with your last pick to see where everything's settling from Sunny Gaming. So this one makes the most sense to me. And I like the Rakan as well as an option overall. Rakan Yasuo as a duo lane, great combo.
Caveman's going to be a playmaker as well, of course, in the bottom lane. So Rakan definitely suits that one to a T. Back over to Sunny now. Ooh, Jax has been left open. Been very much a consistent ban, I feel, over the last couple of days of LPL.
Yeah, and the Renekton as well for Xiaowao if he wants to look at that champion in the top lane. There's always a plethora of options for someone with such a diverse playstyle and champion pool.
I mean, as you heard, Clement called him the Chinese-born bruiser. But won't be a bruiser this time. It will just be Mundo into the top lane for Xiaowao. That will be their second pick to finish this one off. So they've got their Alistair for the support position. Aurelia could go down there into the bottom lane, could go into the mid lane. We saw that performance from Fen in the first game.
Yeah, I'd expect mid lane. You would have to imagine an AD carry or, you know what, I have no idea, to be locked in as the last pick. So I'm not even going to start predicting roles in this situation. I'm just going to say a champion could be locked, and there you go. It's a cannon.
Hey. I'll go to the AD carry there for Fury. Snow had it last time around. And now that we know that there is a tank in the top lane, it opens up the possibility for a Darius. And we're going to get Audi picking that one up.
And Audi looked very good on his Darius. He built himself up a sizable CS lead. He was into a Poppy, however, last time. This time it's going to be the Mundo. But you can lock him down, get that true damage off, blast him. If you can time it well with the Mundo's ultimate, takes off 25% of his own health, then you just take off the rest and cleanly wipe him from the map. Decent matchup there for Audi, so I am excited to see that one play out, and I love that they use it as their last pick to round out the composition. Not that their composition is this comprehensive team fighting 5v5. You don't look at that and you just go, wow, the Wombo. You just look at it like, that's damage literally everywhere, and I like what I see.
Yeah, on both teams, to be honest. I mean, that is the thing with the current meta, is you can cram in damage wherever you want. You know, sometimes you're just like, well, we only have a support role left. And it's just like, just kidding, flex it to mid lane and lock in some more damage.
Yeah.
So we live in a world where if you're lacking something, it's actually not too difficult to fit in your composition.
Yeah, and people seem to not be too big of a fan of this meta simply because of how quick the games can end and how abruptly it crashed down upon us. And I'm excited for it. It's always exciting to see. What we are missing right now in this meta is the ability to come back, and I think that's just a byproduct of their mastery of team compositions being lacking. It's still brand new for a lot of them, and there's a chance that in a set like this, let's say that Vici gets the lead, Suning Gaming are good enough as a team that they may be able to actually come back from deficits, and that's always going to be interesting to watch as the split continues.
It is definitely a bit of a risky composition, you're absolutely right. If you get ahead, it's so snowballing. That is one scary face on Darius. He's definitely not the type of man you'd want to meet in a dark alley. Neither is Mundo, to be fair.
He'll steal your toenails.
That's true. I think I would be more scared of Mundo because I don't know what he would do to me. Whereas with Darius, it's only one thing. It's going to chop up my head. You know what I mean? Like, it's a known quantity with Darius.
I'm just going to take column C neither and avoid the alley completely and look towards the second game.
Hey, well, Nocturne's in this game, so you know it's going to be dark. Either way, we can take a look at both of these lineups once again. And it will be FenFen and FireRain in the exact same matchup. Last time we saw it go over towards FenFen, so we'll see if FireRain can fight back. Because at the end of the day, it is definitely a bit of a skill matchup. I would say it's slightly weighted towards Aurelia, but there is still a chance for Yasuo to get in there. Hey, give him the thumbs up. There we go, chance on point this time around. I was going to say, there's a lot of you in the crowd. I could see you. I don't know what was happening in game one, but we're awake now.
And some of the largest thumbs I've ever seen on Summoner's Rift came up during that as well. It was a pleasure to watch that many thumbs appear and them to be that large. But of course, we are on. Coming into this second game, you mentioned the bottom lane a little bit. Kennen, Alistar, strong, but Shu on the other foot. Snow looked decent on the Kennen, but he had to hit 20 to 30 odd minutes to actually start to show up on the map. And what you want to see is just a little bit of earlier focus and perhaps more pressure. But that's usually a byproduct or result of where the junglers trend to go. And last game was vertical jungling. This time looks a lot more standard. Duo lane's going to assist their junglers in the clear. So there's a serious opportunity now that things start to play towards that bottom side if they choose.
I mean, often that is the curse of having a straight AD carry in nowadays meta. Of course, it's not going to be a straight crit build here from Kennen, but often you are waiting towards, you know, the 30, 35-minute mark for those builds to turn online when you get your multiplicative item, and you're like, well, the game's done. So it's that can be the problem if the game accelerates on you when you have a heavy bruiser composition.
Alistar's got the flash pole.
Oh, the old level 2. Nice reaction there from Snow. Of course, he would not have had his Sanguine Pool right there, so it would almost certainly been death.
Yeah, that was very clean from Snow. Actually, super impressive. And that really just means one of two things. You know, certain people have reactions to make plays like that. iBoy is the only person that comes to mind in terms of just how quick he is on the pulse. Yeah. Even then, Uzi is sometimes, with the flash reactions, not always there. But the reason that you can flash that quickly, which is an interesting concept to explore, is that Yunuzin was nearby. Everyone knows in the current meta, level 2 junglers will gank your lane, and if your duo lane, your opponent duo lane was missing, then he's on the bottom side of the map. So you avoid the level 2, and yes, they get a summoner spell, so it's still a pretty nice result there from Suning Gaming. It's actually still just traded in the end, so it's not that great. Snow was ready.
Yeah, you just got to be aware of those different timers nowadays. That will be the precision tree, the old 1, 2, 3 from Sinjab, very much synergizes with his kit. You're going to be seeing Water Walking there as well out of Sorcery.
Yeah, the other thing that people tend to start doing more and more now on these Inzao is Hail of Blades, the new domination keystone. You get that extra attack speed when you hit a champion. Not too bad for him, but you sacrifice the damage, you sacrifice the base attack speed that comes from the precision tree as well. And personally, bigger fan of this choice from Hacker, but I do see merit in the other.
There's actually very few champions who do benefit from Hail of Blades, whereas usually there's a better option. You know, you'd be looking at like the likes of a Quinn or something and be like, hey, that's really good, but also Electrocute exists, so no. And the same thing for Xin Zhao, you're right. Really wants the attack speed for the jungle clear as well, so one day we'll see. It's on the verge of being good. We'll see it one time.
It's been played once in the LPL, I think it was, maybe in the LCK. I'm starting to get everything muddled together, but it has been played once on Xin Zhao.
Did it win?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Ask Raz.
All right, we'll do. I'll see him later today. Shout out on the top lane, facing down Aldi. I'm going to pause for a second because I'm just taking a look at Hacker. He's about to find himself in an altercation.
They know he's there, and they're about to catch him. This is a big collapse.
Double uh-oh. He's going to jump towards Fire Rain, but here comes Fen setting up the flawless duet. That's going to be enough to send Fire Rain packing along with Swift. So everyone's going to see each other and back away from this one.
The early reactions from Hacker there were the real MVP. The ability to just go towards mid lane where the Aurelia was waiting. Of course, the wind wall can do some work in getting that 2v2 trade going in their favor. But overall, nothing to be seen. Just a nice little disengage with the smart reactions from Hacker. Still that river control, that vision control belonging to Vici, just a bit more.
Oh, hello. Yoon's gone in on Snow right here. Fury chasing after as well, gets a stun down. Auto attacks flying through as well. Snow not going to die from this, but will be heavily wounded. Luckily, a minion was walking towards him, so he won't get the final bit of his Q down there. But Snow having to play well behind his tower now. Yoon and Fury are in dive range.
On a cannon wave too, so they miss a lot of experience. They pretty much lose the lane and get 6 seconds as a result of this trade. Very well done from Suning Gaming. I'm already seeing a difference in terms of trade strength. Continuing to pressure in this 2v2. Last game, Vici were playing the cannon, but they were losing the 2v2 lane control, and it makes you wonder what the difference is here. I think it's just the fact that they don't have the Taric. They picked the Rakan. Good for the Yasuo, worse for the lane.
And honestly, this is the most alpha thing you could possibly do in a set as well. You know, you win a game with the Vladimir, and then you pick the other side, and then you beat the Vladimir. And Fury and Yoon just establishing how strong they are as a bottom lane. Now, Rusty, I do want to challenge you, though, because you were talking about Aldi into AJ when you were playing the Darius and Poppy matchup, and I watched Aldi get bodied at level 1 as the Darius. So, explain to me again how Aldi won that laning phase.
Into the Poppy?
Yeah.
He got bodied?
Yeah. Did you see that? Poppy walks into his Q and he loses the trade at level 1. I'm like, okay, I see how this is going to go.
We may have to hold that thought. They're about to 3-man dive
Yeah, I
him.
think so, Rusty. Here comes the ultimate. Flashes out of the ultimate there from Fen, but everyone's just jumping on his face. Last ultimate that comes down from the tower, but it's not enough to finish off Xiao Ao. Here comes Fire Rain and Swift, however. And I don't think they necessarily want this one.
No, they just have to Daryl Braithwaite for a little bit, hold the horses. They'll be all right. But it's faster from Vici this time around. They are able to react. They can't save their top laner, but at least they're at the correct place to prevent turret damage. As continued pressure down in this bottom lane, Yoon needs to be careful.
Yes, he does. So
right.
figuring out his jungle. Here's Fen from the
Never
backside.
ends.
Flawless duet comes through. Not going to be spell shielded, but Hacker's going to take the rest of that camp away from him. So you're absolutely right, it doesn't end. But at the end of the day, we are watching Suning Gaming, so I think it's to be expected.
Yeah, and when it starts with a dive on the top lane, when Artie's already dead, they opened up the map for themselves, particularly through the enemy jungle. Continue to go forwards. Even a lane swap enacted from Vici just to catch the CS. To try and be as efficient as possible, they'll have to walk back to the opposite lanes in a second, however. And to come back to your original question that you had, I mean, you mentioned the exact interaction as to why a Darius will have a hard time at level 1 is if the opposing champion can hit him and actually match it. You know, Poppy having the passive for the shield and the ability to deal damage in multiple procs is nice. You just have to avoid the 5 proc passive, as I'm sure you're fully aware of.
Oh, yeah.
But outside of that, once you get that phage, you're pretty much unstoppable. And a lot of the reason for that is in competitive, you don't go towards the Ghost or the Ignite or the offensive summoner spell in top lane where your solo queue Darius will kill you at level 1 because he has that. In competitive, you've got the teleport, so you have to wait for those items and just scale up a little bit more. Get that Conqueror procs really going, get the phage for the move speed to compensate for the Ghost, things like that.
Exactly, and you're not going to have that dirty phase rush Darius coming at you because we all know it. That damn Ignite Ghost Darius is in top lane, that the main's there every single day of your life.
Filthy people.
Yeah. Who would possibly do that? But the point is, I'm looking at top lane, and yes, Darius has died once already, but he was already down in farm against Xiao Ao before that fight even happened, you know? And as a Darius into a tank matchup, especially one that doesn't have any mobility outside of, you know, just running fast at you, is cause for concern just a little.
A lot of this, and I will have to contextualize it a bit more, it's the things that viewers can't see and even us sometimes won't be looking towards. It's where is the jungler and what can the jungler possibly provide for the team. If Vici are playing towards the bottom side, Swift is constantly drawing pressure down there and they don't know where Hacker is, then Audi has to be careful because he's by himself, right? There's no support coming up there. If game 1's any indicator, there's never support coming up there. Audi's on an island, so he could play aggressively, perhaps beat the Mundo, But what if someone's there and he dies, like what happened in that first game? So could just be respect.
And I've got to concede that to you, Rusty, because indeed, in that first game, he's probably suffering from a bit of PTSD of being ganked 4 times in the first 10 minutes in that first game. So he's probably well aware that Hacker's probably here, and indeed he is. So now's the time to be paranoid, Audi.
You can see not even going for the 5 passive, just wants to sit back, farm and sustain. But Hacker, he's a patient man.
He absolutely is. Definitely just, he hasn't moved as well. Usually when you see people sit in brushes, they, you know, go from left to right just a little bit. He hasn't moved. Oh, there he is. But this is a massive mini-wave at the same time.
Still here
finally
as well.
comes in, but Audi taking so much damage.
Oh,
what
no.
was that? Oh no! I immediately regret my decision. Get me out of here. Swift, extra movement speed. Here comes Xiao Ao. Double flash has come through, but there's Mundo. He's feisty. He's fast as well. Gets poked up the butt, and there you go. Another kill over to Suning.
You can't stop that Mundo once it's rolling. Swift has the deepest regret possible by following that ultimate through. Audi may have died a bit faster than he had anticipated at all. And that one moment, Hacker just sits up there for a minute. You better believe that that's the moment Audi chooses to go aggressive. That's just the way it works out in top lane, it seems.
I mean, that was Lee Syndrome, like, I regret my decision to the maximum with that paranoia ultimate right there. Oh boy, that was a lot of time to really think about your decision as well, having flown from max distance.
Yeah.
And there's no pulling out. Rest in peace. So, unfortunate. 3 more kills to Suning in the early game. Seems like they cannot possibly fall behind in the early game in any game at all.
Not against Vici. And if you throw way back, you know, the last split, the start of the split, what these teams excelled at, it was fast versus slow. So Vici were always a slow team that wanted to scale up. Suning were the ones making plays like this, being super aggressive and going forwards constantly. And you can see that real serious regret coming out of Swift there. Not even the W on from Xiao Ao, doesn't even care about it. Just hit those cleavers and find those kills. Give him the book. Is it a book?
It's a briefcase.
Give him the briefcase.
Give him the briefcase. Now, I am less sympathetic to Swift than I was the first time around, because I was assuming he was belaying to the lane. He was just immediately pressing ultimate when he needed to. He was recalling, and Audi was already being punched in the face like for a good solid 2 seconds before he activated the ultimate.
Yeah.
So
I will credit where it's due though. Swift was recalling, and it was just a 1v1. He didn't think that he was going to kill Xiao Ao, and Hacker revealed himself late.
True.
But bottom lane, maybe looking.
Maybe.
Never mind.
I mean, Caveman's going to go the dangerous route back into lane, but he's okay. He's going to battle dance himself back to Snow. And how are we doing in the game? We're about 1,500 gold ahead for Suning Gaming at this point in time. We're about to hit damage spikes for many people on the map. One of those is going to be Xiao Ao, who finds himself his Sunfire Cape.
And again, it's Hacker that has all the gold. Still now 2-0-1 himself on the Xin Zhao. The rest of the team, you know, top lane's decent from Xiao Ao, but it tends to be that island. Still, Darius forces you to stay up there a little bit. With the added items that he's purchased, such as the Sunfire Rush, there is a chance that he can unleash himself onto the map, and you can see walks to lane. So it seems like Suning Gaming, they've got their eyes set on pulling the EDG. They look towards bottom lane, get that 4-man dive off with a deep ward behind the turret. Blue buff and Dragon also free to take around that. Swift knows though.
Indeed. Blue buff will be going over to Suning right here. Firen's aware though, he's trying to come down, but he's being blocked there by Fen.
And they're still not going for the Dragon, it's free to take. They only just moved towards it now.
Swift is waiting though in the wings with his paranoia. He's taking an aggressive stance.
We can actually rename it to Anxiety because Vici are not feeling very good about this. They don't know where Hacker is, but they know he's nearby. And Swift has to
when is he going to pull the trigger?
Oh, there
Finally we go in. There's the quickness. Let me follow through as well from Swift, but we're cannoning backwards. Nice triple stun comes down, but finally the cannon will fall. He essentially trades his life for the Mountain Dragon.
The damage was definitely there from Vici, and you could see what was going through their heads. They waited 15 seconds, and I mean, there's no way Hacker's sitting at the river next to the Dragon without hitting it for all of that time. So they take the opportunity and just slip through the cracks to get the kill off. They get the gank off. Very successful from them, and super well done.
Good stuff from Vici, actually firing back in this early game. Really important for them to do so. And that kill also goes over to Vladimir as well, so we'll start to get those carries ahead. Still, the top lane is a little bit concerning.
Oh no, that's not actually very good. Yoon may die.
Yeah, best of luck here, Yoon. Does he have his ultimate? No, he does not. Does he have his headbutt? No, but he does have his flash. So he's going to get out alive, but he will have to burn the summoner.
He just wanted to stop the recall, and unfortunately he has to flash himself away. You can see what Yoon was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
You respect it, but you know it was a mistake, and looking back, he'll know just as much as all of us. Never again.
Does not need to be told twice. You know, Fury probably just casts a glance towards his direction. It's like, you know what you did. 14 minutes into this game in Fire Rain, we'll place down a ward off to the side of his lane here, so he can just catch Hacker in any of his gank paths. And Swift is, he's actually the one suffering from paranoia despite the name of his ultimate. He's just sitting in his brushes, doesn't really know where Hacker is, just assumes Xin Zhao is around every single corner.
Brings Fire Rain up to protect the red buff as well, hit the scrying orb. Maybe they can find themselves the Xin Zhao, and they will know that he's a blue buff now. Fen about to reveal himself, and so this is that point in the game where, actually Fen's not revealing himself, he's going to help out. When he shows himself, they have the opportunity to look towards another place on the map. They can use that Nocturne ultimate that's almost up again. He's got some extra lethality in the build, so he's got some pretty serious damage going on. Maybe get another pick going, and I would say bottom lane, just rinse, repeat.
That's about to come off cooldown. It looks like he's pathing towards this mid lane once again. But I mean, if we're looking at, yeah, it was successful last time, though in that first game it was a 1-for-1 trade if I recall correctly, so Swift is probably going to be thinking about that one. Hacker's having a bit of trouble there with Shelly, but should be able to pick that one up in just a second. And again, this is Hacker getting control over the jungle, and I mean, this is worth mentioning because Swift, we see Swift as a pretty damn good jungler, you know, this guy isn't just like chilling at the bottom of the table. When he came onto Vici, we're like, this is actually going to be a point in time where Vici's going to change up the playstyle, it's going to be more aggressive, it's going to change up their identity. A lot of that is going to be off the back of Swift as well as a player.
Definitely. Swift, one of those players that you have to work around. He doesn't work around you in terms of styles, and Swift now returns bottom lane, and a very rare Herald seen on the top side of the map to break it sooner rather than later. That completely diffuses Swift's play. If he goes somewhere else on the map, Mundo's got a teleport, free to use it. Of course, the darkness will be there for a couple of seconds, but you know that if that Mundo arrives, you're running away at lightning speeds. He's having a field day up here. This is a great time for Mundo.
I mean, this is honestly just one of the things that, as a top laner, makes you very happy. Seeing a Darius just get absolutely destroyed in a 1-versus-1, and the jungler just walks in, drops the Herald, and leaves.
I'll do you one better. It feels good as a player of League of Legends to watch a Darius lose.
It's really just therapeutic, to be honest.
Yeah.
Fire Rain and Swift doing their best to protect the mid lane. Unfortunately, there are two melee characters into the siege, so mid lane will fall, so will top lane, and now Suning are really starting to accelerate the pace, and not too soon after the 15-minute mark, which is really, I mean, it's just Suning written all over.
One thing that is super hard to do in patch 8.11 on the Bruiser style meta is take turrets. When there are so many melee champions, firstly defending them is difficult, but so is sieging them because you have to put yourself in melee range. So that's the risk. Usually you would expect a lot of protracted laning phases with towers standing for quite some time, but that's not the case at all. The first turret time has actually gone down to earlier in the game, and a lot of this is just with how snowbally the map has truly become. Herald is an example, one thing that absolutely demolishes towers and opens the map. And if you can open a single lane, that lane can be used to break the next one, and you've seen consecutive turret takes from teams, and that is a big part of why the map is so snowballing.
Again, Fen just clearing out this mid lane wave, and Xiao are getting a deep vision on this Mundo, and Mundo truly can go wherever he pleases in the top lane.
You know the hello, yes, this is dog?
Yeah.
Like, that's Mundo right now on the phone. There's no one on the other end, is there?
You're probably right, and now I actually just can't unthink that as an idea.
So good. Hello, yes, this is Mundo.
Darius like, who are you talking to?
Oh, Mundo's great. I'm so happy he's in the meta. He's actually just really funny to watch.
Yeah, this is a deeper conversation, but
Not a fan.
Not a fan of the silly characters. Aldi's going to find Xiao out, pops the ultimate. And looked like a lot more damage than it actually was from Aldi because Xiao popped his ultimate.
And we mentioned this before in terms of the matchup. If it was even, let's just say it was a perfectly even lane and there was some decent control from Aldi. He's farming well, but he's not controlling Mundo at all. Then when Mundo uses the ultimate and loses 25% of his current health, Darius pops him. Get that 5-stack passive off and there's nothing that a Mundo can do. But because he's ahead, you're never getting that execute damage. There is not a chance you're getting that done on the Mundo unless he makes a mistake. You could see the example of that just there. Artie thought he had a chance. Chance completely gone because Xiao could just press R and waddle away.
And unfortunately, this is, you know, one Warden's Mail, Tabbies, and Sunfire Cape too far gone for a Darius. You know, before the big one item that is the armor item, that's where your kill threat really comes in. That's when you really try and snowball as a Darius. And as dumb as it sounds, like he is just like the Master Yi of top lane. You just go in repeatedly until something sticks. And hey, if it does, then you just keep on going.
There's a lot of Master Yi's of top lane, so I'll just let that one simmer with you for a second, though. The one thing we are looking at is what he's just purchased. I was about to suggest that. Grievous Wounds, necessary Executioner's Calling needed into that Mundo. He's finally got it for himself. It's going to do wonders for lane trading, and it'll help if he's involved in a team fight. If there's a 5v5 and he's just sitting there hitting the tank, I'd actually like that from Vici. When you look at their composition in team fights, Yasuo ultimate 50% armor penetration, Darius with all of the true damage there, also Conqueror Infinity Edge for Fire Rain. So those two bruises, you kill Mundo, you could probably win the fight.
SNG Gaming are destroying this dragon, however. Vici are going to go for this. Well, here comes Caveman. He's made the decision. Nice dual knocker comes in as well. And Vici doing a lot of damage, but also taking a lot of damage. Snow gets the first kill onto Fenfen. No resets for him. Hacker finds the kill onto Nocturne. And now, oh, it's Darius time. Gets the first kill. Turns onto Xiao Ao. And everybody's dying around him. But here comes the Execute ready to go. Snow kites backwards. And it's an absolute bloodbath. A 4 for 3.
Big trades across the board. Both teams just going at it. Audi actually a major winner in the end. And you could see that Executioner's Calling coming into effect immediately. Vici choose to take the fight after the dragon was already gone. They've acknowledged that's what they wanted to do. They chose their moment, and they actually chose it quite well. They come out just that little bit ahead, but with so much more control of the map that it brings them back close to even.
Real nice to see. Bot lane tower goes down over to Snow. All that gold over to him. And 3 of those kills of that fight went over to Snow. Plus, Darius just caught back up. So all of the points on the map that needs to catch back up just did for Vici.
And you respect that the dragon was taken from SNG Gaming. It was an Infernal. The next one seems like it's also going to be an Infernal. Those are important for their late game scaling and mid-game team fights as they start to get those items on the board. But unfortunately for them, Vici just played the fight a little bit too well, even after a great ult from Fenfen, disabling a lot of damage output.
Unfortunate. Fenfen actually fell relatively early in the fight as well, to the point where he couldn't start getting those resets off a lot of those low targets. He did do as much work as he could, but didn't really get to that point where he could get his resets in the same way that Darius did in that fight. And that is the scary thing about Darius in the current meta. You can be behind, but as long as you've got a bit of survivability, if you get to 5 stacks on one target, you're going to get to 5 stacks on every target. And Darius hits Darius time more times than not.
Fun interaction, by the way. Haha. Darius. We get to watch the fighting, and Caveman is the one who kicks this off. With the darkness being there, something that is very difficult to work around is that darkness. And then the Wombo comes into effect. So Fire Rain just able to follow that knock-up up with a further knock-up, and that's all the time Audi needs to get in to the fight, start getting those kills off. Caveman, the real MVP, but Snow, the major recipient of these kills. And then, of course, Xiao Ao. He's tanky, but he's not tanky enough to get rid of Grievous Wounds and true damage everywhere.
Yeah, it's actually really nice there from Xiao Ao. Flashed on the right target at the right time, but in the top lane, Aurelia by herself comes out with the flawless duet, but with Caveman here as well, ready to seal the deal. Fenfen, a lot long for as well, though he just flashed away, popped the ultimate, looked to try and get out of here. He was very close to that minion. I respect it.
That was way too close. It shouldn't have been that close at all. Now 0-2 for Baron, currently on the map, but no chance for Vici to actually be looking towards that one just yet. SNG Gaming still managing to hold control of the map even after losing their mid laner.
Yeah, really nice to see. And it's actually Vici being much more proactive, though, from the first game. You know, this is Vici making plays, and this isn't them being super far behind as well, because this is very similar to how they attempted the last game, but they were generally too far behind at that point for the enemy's plays to go well. SNG generally picks up more kills than them, and then the game snowballed out of control. This time, when they make the plays, it's actually sticking. Top tower will fall, bot lane will fall in tandem, but still, Vici are keeping up.
You could still see so much respect from Audi on the opposite side of the map. Mundo able to trade objectives in the end, but the kill is something that goes in favor of Vici. Momentum starts to feel like it's shifting in their direction once again. Such an inconsistent team, Vici. But still in this second game, they're starting to warm up to the occasion. They're starting to rise up when it means the most. And Snow is going to be the one we have to look towards in all these forthcoming fights. He has to get those big ults off and lock them down, as he is so fed.
Inconsistent, yes, but it's also still learning time for Vici and also for us. You know, we don't really know what type of team Vici is. Like, so far in these last 2 series that we've seen from them, they have just been an entire different team. You know, if you just slapped a different name on Vici, you wouldn't think it was the same team, because Easyhoon very much warped the identity of said team. So for Vici now, it is just discovering, is this inconsistent? Maybe it is consistent for them. We don't really know.
A lot of it's just, like, you mentioned inconsistency. I feel like a lot of this is cohesive shot calling or goal-based like ideas. They don't really know what they're doing. They pick themselves drafts that, you know, they're not uncommon anymore, but they don't really know what they're doing with the composition. They're good at the champions, but past that, it does feel like it's a bit of a struggle street for them overall. They find themselves getting caught, dying a lot. Audi is the culprit when it comes to dying a lot. Time and again.
Indeed, Vici going to be pushing into the top side of the map, not going to be caught unawares as they set up for this potential Baron right here. And Suning are actually just going to back this one away. So we're looking towards the river. Wards have been placed down, so seeing not in too bad of a position for themselves. But we look towards Vici, we're going to back it off as well. So we had a bit of a Mexican stare down right there, but in the end, nothing really happened.
No one says draw. And it actually just ends in that stalemate. So Vici still getting more and more control. We mentioned before, after the pick was secured, they take down Aurelia. They didn't get control of the map, but now you can see the wards are there. They're in place. They're ready to go, but it's more defensive than anything else. Vici's still afraid. Quite frankly, 3 control wards through their red side jungle. They had to fight for every inch of that vision, and it's still only sitting in the middle of the map at best. It just gives so much to Suning in terms of map control. That gives them so much potential to make plays. That's a big risk.
I mean, of all the times to be defensive with Vici, why did you choose this one? I mean, it was pretty much pure aggression out of the first game, even when behind. It was aggression in the early games to catch back up, pulling the trigger on the Lost Dragon already. And now they're just like, no, we're going to wait.
To be
now,
fair,
here comes the Dragon.
A lot of item spikes on the side of Suning Gaming. If you're going to respect them at any moment in the game, it is now, as they could be super strong. Look at Suning, actually. It's an Infernal Drake. It's their second. They could, but they just sprint over to Baron. And there's no wards available from Vici. They've got 1 Scrying Orb to use.
And look at this, you've got Xiao Ao playing interference as well, but Suning are actually backing away from this one, actually choosing not to double down on the play.
Afraid of the team fight, perhaps? There was no wards in the pit. They spotted 1 ward, and that's the last Scrying Orb used. Suning Gaming are counting. They should know that this is now still a viable option, but they choose to sacrifice the Drake.
Wow.
And not even look to bait the objective, not even look to bait an awkward team fight for Vici by making them run over.
And to be honest, that's probably the first, like, straight up just weird decision we've seen from Suning in this series so far. You know, game 1 went pretty swimmingly, but that one was just like, yes, I see the core, I see what you're doing, and Vici also split on their call. You know, half of the team went towards the Baron, half of the team finished off the Dragon. You had Xiao Ao stopping them from moving over cleanly.
Yeah, I don't want to call it weird, I just want to call it safe. And, you know, it's one of those things that you don't often see from them, Eric, to the side of
Which
caution.
is why I say weird, right?
Yeah. Again, yeah, that's the context behind it. Ultimately, though, it's nice to see, you know, trying to slow the pace of the game down, a bit more refreshing from Suning. They haven't, and we mentioned this last game, been the best team at the mid to late stages of the game. Their team fighting hasn't been ideal. Perhaps it's something they've been working on in the off-season. They want to show off that they can team fight.
Maybe. We did hear it from Xiao Ao that they have been practicing a lot in the off-season, trying to refine their style. He's pushing forwards. He does have ultimate, and Caveman's doing the same. So we've got high mobility Scout coming in here. He'll jump over the wall.
Very hard to stop a Rakan from just being there as the physical embodiment of a ward. Very hard to stop Xiao Ao from clearing it because he doesn't really care. The Baron's trying to hit him, but it tickles.
Yeah, he'll regen that one up as well very quickly.
It's like those slime cannons from Nickelodeon. That's what it feels like when Baron hits it.
I mean,
you probably
Baron's
don't even know what that is. Is that Australian only?
No, we had that in the UK.
Okay, cool. Just checking. I don't know.
I think it was mainly an Australian and American thing. It wasn't as big as it was in the UK.
Well,
yeah, our producer's American, so he just confirmed that with us. Yeah, it's weird the crossover stuff that we do have from the UK to Australia, but then there's some things that are only Australian and American. The Venn diagram's strange, Rusty.
Yeah, it really is. I will say, as an Australian, I have no idea what you guys have at all. There's crossover when you tell me there's crossover, but I'm so far away from your countries, I have no idea.
You guys have Doctor Who? Oh, here comes Aldi. The unexpected stopwatch out from Xiao Ao, but Haka rocks up, almost bleeds out from this one, gets a bit of health back out from the passive there from the runes. Oh, it's enough damage from Aldi.
Just barely enough. So the kills are traded. Vici, and then move over to the Baron. It's getting smacked real fast.
It's going down very quick as well. Here comes Fury. He's going to get locked up.
Oh!
And everybody dies on top of the cannon. He's dead. Down for the count. Yoon and Fen doing what they can. They'll get the first kill. Looking for the reset. There's the second. They're turning this one around. Xiao does not take damage. Yoon falling down onto Snow. He's going to get slowed out from this one. The Floor's duet does not connect. Turning this one around. Fen's low. And Snow trying to get the finishing blow on this one. Charges up the W. Finishes him off. Xiao. Great teamwork.
Too much damage prevention from the Aurelia, and Fen comes up huge in that team fight. The mobility, the damage output. It kind of looked funny, and I'm excited to watch the replay again because Yoon was trying to be a hero, get in the backline, make a play, and everyone just pressed their eject button as he went in and was left by himself in the Baron pit. But still, no Darius, no problem for Suning Gaming because no one can stop Xiao.
They really can't. Xiao, once he gets running, I mean, I think the only execution is calling and damage reduction, or healing reduction, is actually on Aldi. Yeah.
Two ignites still from Caveman and Fire Aim, but it doesn't feel like it does enough. And what I reference in this case is that the actual damage.
Yeah.
Like Aldi is the execute onto the Mundo, where otherwise it isn't there. Swift wants that steal.
He's out over the wall. Here comes Yu and gets the knock-up as well. Has he bought enough time? Swift, he can't quite hit the blast gun in time. Jumps over just so he can die. Aldi in the 1 versus 5 looks for the ultimate. That was a sick flash coming in from Hacker.
Mundo's
and now
on.
the rest of Vici are going to back away from this one. But Mundo is looking for that Q, looking for the cleaver to connect. 2 kills and a Baron. Suning come up big.
The menacing Macho Man Mundo just dives turrets, doesn't care, he's too tanky. With the Baron in the back pocket, all they wait for is the minions, and then they start to press forwards once again. They have set themselves up with these kills. It's going to be very difficult for Vici to stop this at all for another 25 seconds without he gone.
Oh man, Rusty, these towers, these structures die so incredibly quickly. 10 seconds left on Swift. There was a potential there actually for Suning to keep on going, but they play it safe. And in fact, they are looking for the recalls. There's a big mini wave in the top lane as well. And again, we're hitting this theme over and over. Suning playing it safe.
I mean, frankly, they've just got so much money after the last 2 team fights, pushing down the entire middle lane, getting all those turrets. They should be recalling right now, and it is good to see from them as well. Vigilance, knowing how much money they've got and actually backing at appropriate times. With those purchases of an abundance of items, they should be set to continue to push into other lanes. They've still got 2 minutes, 20 seconds left on that Baron.
I'm just saying, if someone offered me $1,000 for free, and then we're like, hey, you can also have another $100, which is also free, I would be like, sure, sign me up. There's no downside to this deal other than the guy could be potentially shady, but Suning Gaming could have moved towards the top lane and just taken the tower.
I don't know how far into this analogy I want to buy because like,
I'm already too far in. I'm committed.
I totally get what you're saying, but I don't know if the second bit of gold was free. If there's people like looking at you menacingly, like maybe they've concealed a weapon.
Yasuo's
I'm not going to go too deep into it.
Yasuo's not that threatening.
Oh yes, he is.
He absolutely isn't.
All right.
You want to bet?
Fair enough. 3 out of Yasuo doesn't do anything.
Call this one 2.5. Suning Gaming pushing towards this top lane tower, and they're going to get it anyway. So hey, all of that was moot anyway. They're going to get the tower. And Suning Gaming really just about how they can topple these next inhibitors. Mid 1 is already down.
Oh,
so
this is still all theirs. With the banner-empowered cannon minion right now, with the Baron buff. Jesus, the tongue twisters. It's super hard for Vici to actually stop this. They've got a win wall. They could buy some time. Maybe this one gets cleared. But even then, like, look how much work it's doing, and look how threatening Suning Gaming are just by standing next to it. It's gone.
Let's call them Banendorf like I do. It's much easier. Just going to clear out this mini wave. There you go. Get it, Fen. And Alistair will pick up the kill credit on this tower. And I mean, we're back to square one. Vici, what are we going to do? Caveman's actually just getting chunked out there by Shout Out on top of that.
Still no win wall used for it. Very defensive here from Fire Aim. Wants to keep it for if a fight breaks out after it. They'll clear it now, and the inhib's already gone, but they haven't set up bottom lane yet, Suning. Yeah. So you'll take this. Vici, it's not a good loss. It's still a loss they have to take, but they're going to buy enough time through that bottom wave being pushed. They don't lose 3 inhibs, and Baron's about to subside.
That was the most nice silver lining way you could have put that. It was just like, well, Baron's about to. They lost two inhibs, but I mean, Baron's about to expire, so there's that, which is really nice for him.
I'm working real hard to find the silver lining.
I mean, so are Vici at this point in the game, honestly. You know, you're looking toward what is our ideal team fight. And Vladimir, he's 3-1 and 2. Darius is pretty big as well. Like, you got some pretty big carries, and you're right. You know, we're joking about it, but Yasuo is at a strong point in the game right now with the double crit items, and he also has the Potion of Wrath ready to go on top of that. So Vici, they're gearing up for a potential last fight, but it seems like they're giving up a lot of ground before they do so.
I'm just upset we didn't get a replay of the Baron fight because it was quite comical to watch, Yoon. And we saw a great team fight from FenFen, so I really wanted to see it again. He looks super flashy. When you speak towards, you know, what does the ideal team fight from Vici look like now? I think it's going to be the exact same thing as it was before, but 10 times harder to execute, right? Like, you need the Darius, you need the Yasuo, they need to shred the Mundo. But if you're trying to shred a Mundo, that's pretty difficult to do. Now he's even got the Randuins there to reduce that crit damage on the Yasuo. Mostly true damage to be seen from them. And then you've got a Kennen just whacking away. Xin Zhao in your face, Aurelia jumping everywhere, and an Alistar that won start and that dives off in the first place. No, and impossible for Vici now, but if any composition could do it, at 34 minutes in the game, it is the raw deeps that come out of Vici.
Well, I've also just come to the conclusion and realization that Mundo's full build in level 18, so there's also that to contend with. You're just talking about Mundo. Yeah, he's a big old Mundo. You can see the damage is starting to mount up from that Yasuo though. Luckily it is AD, and the old banded up minions aren't quite as strong as they used to be in terms of damage reduction. Yeah,
you're waiting for the next Baron buff really to be the final nail in the coffin here for Vici Gaming. They've got a window of opportunity, let's call it then, to try and actually make a play, perhaps find Suning with better vision control, get a pick off with the Rakan Yasuo combo, even Nocturne ult. If they could get that going, maybe they buy enough time to set up for the Baron, but still they're so far behind that even the setup is hard to execute.
For Suning, you can just set up a camp right here, you know, set up the tent. If you can get a pick, great, we'll finish the game. If we don't, then fine, we've pushed them back into their base, and we've got Baron coming up in 90 seconds.
And look at Mundo, sitting in mid lane, now FenFen even joining him. This is all about pressuring Vici to walk to different lanes, buy more time for the bottom lane to get some pot shots off on the turret if possible, and the inhib about to spawn. So too many places to be pressured at once. This is where it gets really clutch for Vici. Their next decision has to be the correct one, or they risk losing the inhib and then the Baron.
You've heard it before, but 400 armor Mundo right here with 4,000 HP. It's definitely annoying to contend with if you're anybody on the Summoner's Rift. Snow's pushing forward here with Caveman. Hacker's also waiting.
And either way, even if this inhib doesn't fall by some miracle, there's no vision for Vici elsewhere.
Hacker jumps in. Oh, to Caveman. Aldi gets knocked back, but here comes
Whoa.
Caveman. Gets the triple knock-up right there. The rest of the team following through. Swift is down, but Aldi, he's got the first kill. He's got the second. He's looking for the third. Follows him down. 1, 2, 3, 4 kills in quick succession for Vici. An instant disaster for Suning.
Vici hit the wombo exactly what they were after. Suning playing way too aggressively at the most inappropriate time possible. They don't get the inhib. They don't get the team fight, and now they may not get themselves the Baron buff. Big mistake from Suning Gaming, but so well done from Vici to hit that combo at all.
How much can they take off it though? They'll take down the mid lane tower. They have all members alive. Baron is spawning in 6 seconds. This could be a turning point here for Vici though in the bottom lane. Xiao Ao's just being a massive nuisance. Try and knock down this final inhibitor tower. Though it does look like this will be a bounce of Vici.
Yeah, it's going to be so much damage coming out of the composition of Vici towards that Baron. It'll go down super fast. They'll be able to secure that one for themselves, even with the teleport available from Xiaowel. He doesn't want to go over there, just in case. You know, don't want to die. That'd cause more troubles than just the Baron will cause. This game gets prolonged by quite a lot. The composition of Vici Gaming starts to come really online. We saw what happens when a Darius gets going.
I mean, honestly, this is a comp where you just need one. You know, you get one good fight and then you're in. You're in for the long haul. And Vici are going to survive for at least 3 to 5 minutes right here. But let's see that one once again, because Caveman jumps in and sends them right back to the Stone Age.
Yeah, they get the knock-up Fire Rain to follow as well, hitting so many members. And then the Wind Wall placement to ensure the follow-up damage can't be seen. Audi gets all the time in the world, gets those 5 stacks off, and then hits the mark with all of his damage. So, like a Caveman definitely is the one that hits it home with the big engage to follow up, but the follow up was from Audi hitting the apprehend, pulling 2 people rather towards him. That starts it off. Remember, that starts though because Hacker was feeling a bit too hypey. Suning Gaming fall on their own sword there.
Or spear, I guess. You know,
yeah.
But
Or briefcase, even.
or briefcase, you're also right. Mundo is unkillable, though. That is the one thing that Vici have to be aware of. It's just like, well, we killed the team. There's Mundo. He's still here.
There is a very easy train of thought to follow, though, for those that have played League of Legends for themselves. I know from the competitive experience, if you're losing a game and someone's got 6 items in 25 minutes, you're like, well, the good news, guys, is that he can't get any more items. So we only get stronger from here, while he stays the exact same. That's what you can look forward to if you're Vici. They're still finishing items. Xiaowel can just sit there and sit on his pile of gold.
Oh, Vici, 30 seconds left on this Elder Dragon. They still have this Baron buff for another 2 minutes, meaning they can push out of the base. No inhibitors are down. Last of the super minions are dead. There is a promoted minion in the top wave about to crash.
Wrong side of the map, however. Sinning Gaming have got a small window to make a play happen. Nocturne's now catching up, though.
Pull onto you and instantly pops the ultimate.
That's
Vici
big.
get themselves an ultimate for nothing.
You not having the ultimate means that he's very fragile. If he is fragile next to a Darius, that gives him the resets. Big risk now for Sinning Gaming. They want to wait that one out, but the pressure's going to be there. Vici, they're just going to hit it straight away, and they do so much damage.
I mean, against Darius, no one wants to be the first one to die, because you're probably the reason the rest of the team died as well.
There is a ward. They still choose not to go for it. They're just going to sacrifice the Elder.
Wow. With triple dragons, with Vici with an Infernal Dragon, Suning say, nope, not today. We're not going to fight it. We're not going to cause the end of the game off of this one play.
Don't do it. It's a Baron and an Elder. There's no way they want the team fight, and they thought about it for a second. You have to concede this turret. You have to look towards the next turret. Try and defend your inhibitors. For the moment, Vici are going to be very powerful, but that Elder Dragon doesn't last too long, and it's not the second Elder Dragon of the game.
And these towers, they die very, very quickly. In the game, we say, take the inhib. That's all you get, though. Don't take any more. But we'll give this one up to you. Vici have taken a lot off of this initial play, off that initial fight in the base.
Yeah.
Baron into Elder Dragon, into evening up the gold in terms of total for gold as well.
Yeah, and Suning are happily conceding all of these as well, and more potentially if Vici continue to run at them until they feel confident enough to take the fight. You want that Elder to subside naturally, of course, before you look towards it. Even then, just how calmly Vici are able to step forwards and how quickly Sinning Gaming were to concede those objectives. I don't dislike the idea. I fully understand why they're giving up those objectives, but man, they crumble quick.
They do indeed, and for the first time, Vici can go onto the map, and they are well and truly the ones in the driver's seat. They have definitely kicked out Suning from that one, and the amount of stacks in this game is too damn high. We've got 3 out of Vici, we've got 2 out of Suning Gaming. People are going to be surviving that burst for a long while.
And you know, they're also not split pushing. With the Darius Yasuo, a team composition that could absolutely win mid lane to Vici Gaming to deal with it. That wave will get a turret by itself. That's how big it is.
It absolutely will, and you're right. I mean, there's no reason to actually be 3-1-ing because your 6th member is actually in the top lane by themselves, just taking the tower, and it's gonna die not only just as mini wave, but very quickly. We're actually sending Fanfan up there, but under a 4 versus 5 affair in the mid lane, he has to spend the minimum amount of time possible in this top wave before returning. He did it in 2 waves, though, yeah.
You give him the credit, Titanic Hydra Relia. The timing was correct as well. He'll be back here for the fight, but at the same time, Fury also dealing with bottom wave, so you can see Vici's pressure. They don't have buffs anymore. They don't have the Baron. They don't have the Elder Dragon. They're waiting for the next spawn of that Baron to close the game out. But until such a time, they want to keep Suning Gaming locked in their base. We have seen the mirror of what happened 5 minutes ago.
Indeed, and at the same time, Suning Gaming, it's not particularly a team you want to run face first into when you have an Aurelia with ultimate up. You've also got Fury with his ultimate up. You know, there's a lot of things here that are annoying to run straight head first into. So it's difficult for Vici really to crack these following inhibitors without having the aid of the Baron and Elder Dragon buffs.
Well, that's it. With 5 bruisers everywhere, you need Baron. You can't end a game without the Baron buff, right? Because nothing else is going to help you take those turrets besides the Banner of Command, Baron minions, and then the threat of a dive alongside those, right? So naturally, Vici will play towards that just as much as Suning did prior. But then Suning were very afraid. They were very cautious. They were playing safely around that objective. They didn't just rush it. They wait for the perfect opportunity. I have a feeling that Vici, they're the kind of side to hit it and see if Suning come over first. And they've got so much damage, they'll do it so quickly that Suning have to run at them, and that's what they want.
But it's really all building up to that, Rusty, because one fight will probably end the game right here with multiple exposed inhibitors and exposed bases on top of that. So whoever wins the next fight could just straight up be the victor, because at 43 minutes, this is one of the longest games I've seen on the current patch.
This may be the longest game that I've seen on this patch from a side, especially in the LPL. The average game time, 31 minutes currently. This is absolutely going to skew those numbers. Yep. We also actually have an Executioner's calling there for Fury, something that we didn't mention through the game. We were speaking towards Audi's need for it. Well, there's a Darius, there's a Yasuo, and there is a Vladimir, most importantly, that wants to be healing constantly through fights. They have high damage, high sustain. If Fury's able to hit people, deny that healing, perhaps they can do enough damage quickly enough to win the fight.
Oh yeah. That Darius sustain is definitely up there. People forget about it, but when he's low health and you're in that final trade and he gets 33% of his health back, you're like, oh, okay, that seems fair, and he kills you. So always got to be aware of that one.
Also nice to have the upgraded Last Whisper item there for Audi. On top of the Executioner's calling, of course, it got changed from bonus AD to total AD. And against that Mundo super tanky, do wonders in team fights.
And at this point in the game, we're rapidly approaching getting full items on everybody. It's about to get started, and there's also double super minions in the base of Suning Gaming. So
well as Vici, do it right now.
Yeah, I mean, they have to send someone back, right? Surely. I mean, they're losing towers right now.
They're all on vision. You know full well that they're here. If you can hit the Baron and cancel the recalls, you will win the game with minions.
And frankly, I don't know what Suning Gaming are doing. They finally sent back the Mundo, but they've lost both Nexus turrets off of this. Vici have now started the Baron, and this has gone from bad to worse for them. They've actually cut the vision using the Nocturne. Genius play coming out of Swift right there. And Vici, they get themselves the Baron, and they might have actually just locked the final nail on that coffin.
Yeah, smart from Vici, smart from Swift in particular, and Xiaowell just really didn't want to go back to base, really didn't want to threaten with the teleport, wanted to be there as the fight started. Chooses to recall after losing both Nexus turrets. And now Vici with a late game Baron buff, so even further empowered through their AP and AD stats. He's going to walk it to top lane. Who's going to stop them now?
Probably not Suning. I mean, I can say that for certain. I mean, this top lane inhibitor is exposed here. Vici have another 3 minutes left on this Baron. This is the second Baron buff for them right here. This is meant to be the game ender. And there's also an Elder Dragon spawning in 90 seconds from now as well.
The second Elder.
If Vici wanted to just play it safe, they could, but they actually find themselves a Yoon. Oh, there's a triple knockup. And Fury, he's kiting as well off to the backside. It's just a massive scrum in the middle of this fight as the Bruisers go toe-to-toe. Aldi, he gets dropped first.
Look at Fury.
Down into the Guardian Angels, but everyone gets a second shot at life. No one's dead yet. Finally, Fen falls, and here come the resets. Fire Rain chasing down the AD carry, but it's Vici who are emerging victorious from this one. Fury still alive, kiting away. Double recalls coming out from Vici, but here comes the teleport back into the base.
They're going to continue the fight. Audi wants it.
Oh, Fury's being caught out from the Darius. He's caught up to him, and now Vici have turned on to the Nexus. Xiaowell, you're tanky. You haven't died in 20 minutes, but you can't defend the Nexus. Vici take us to 1-1.
And just one opportunity is all it took for the side of Vici Gaming to snowball that game out. It took them a little while to actually close it, but once they had an eye in, once they had an opportunity, Suning Gaming just once again hit that mid to late stages of the game and show the inconsistencies that they have. Decision making goes awry once for FLICKR. Vici win.
Stalled out real hard, did Suning Gaming in that one. I mean, the early game, I mean, straight up fantastic. Once again, you saw the massive increase. We get to like the 27 to 36 minute mark in the game, and it's all uphill, and then a massive crash comes in, really just off of FLICKR wanting to end the game too early onto K-Man over the wall. That one team fight essentially led to the entire downfall of the Suning dynasty.
I think above all else, for Vici Gaming in particular, Audi is the one who starts the fight off, followed by Caveman, and for 3 members on this side to be brand new, to be coming together right now and trying to work with one another, they won this game through team fighting, you know, against a side that hasn't really changed anything. Fen, the new addition, but he was already there in the old team. Comes back in, they win the 5v5, they win the team fight with a composition that I would not say is your stock standard team fighting composition. It's not the very obvious wombo combo, it's individual players. And weirdly enough, I actually think that's a good thing for Vici. Don't play the wombo if you're new players. Just play individual bruises and pop off individually.
And I'll be honest, because this is the LPL, I think that is the best strategy. You know, it's the league with the most raw talent out of any league in the world, just because of the sheer size and the sheer amount of servers that there are to choose from for the LPL. So if you have a team like this, it's like, well, if Suning are going to be indecisive, exactly, pop off on your individual champion. You've got Darius, Yasuo, even Nocturne and Vladimir, all champions who can solo carry a game by themselves. You give them an inch, they'll take a mile. So well played by Vici, though it did take them 47 minutes to do so.
Yeah, it took them 47 minutes simply because they were losing for the first 30 odd of it as well. 14 minutes rather, longer than our first game where Suning Gaming did get that victory. Looking into this third game, for me, Suning Gaming have shown that their late game's not that great, that their Baron control is okay, but their hesitance to actually hit the Baron is also noteworthy. Vici can just continue to try and draft and outscale.
Yeah, and for Suning, you probably want to be looking more towards that early game and trying to end it around the mid-game. You know, I don't entirely blame FLICKR for going in right there because he wanted to finish the game because he knows what happens in the late game. So we'll see if that actually happens as we head into Game 3. For now, we're going to send it back to FLICKR and Clement to break down Game 2.
47 minutes, Clement, the longest game that we've had in the LPL. One of the longest games globally that we've seen. I think that there was a Jag game in there that also went the distance.
Well, they're Jag, so it doesn't really count.
44 minutes, but of course it's Vici. Now, Vici used to be known in the LPL as kind of a slower-paced team, but that really hasn't been the case of recently because normally they get smashed within 20 minutes. This time around, though, they actually come back and win.
Yeah, so the teamfight composition, first off, just like the casters said, Vici do have the better scaling compositions, but what I wanted to do is bring it back to the start, and they are running something very similar that they did last game. They have a good split pusher. They're putting a lot of faith into Audi to do work in that top lane, and they also have the guided missile composition coming out from the Nocturne and the Yasuo. Again, the same idea is to pick someone off at the start of the fight, and they also have the Darius reset to kind of snowball through the entire 5v5. On the other hand, we have Suning, who do have that kind of disengaged type of composition where it's really hard to run into them.
And the specific champion that I really want to highlight here, and you know, disagree if you feel that way, but I feel like Kennen was a big problem, specifically Fury on Kennen. Now, one of the first replays that we are going to run is going to be a dragon fight, and I just want people to pay attention to Kennen's positioning, because we're in 8-11. Like, you need to re-gear that mentality about what your responsibility is as a bot lane player on these types of champions versus the traditional ADCs.
The biggest thing about 8.11 and their team fighting is that marksmen are very decentralized in terms of their damage. You really don't see a single person carrying 50% of the damage in a team fight. So what you have to do as a marksman is you have to run in and actually do damage. Great call by Swift here for the paranoia, but Fury really did hesitate. He thought that he was an 8.10 ADC. He didn't go in immediately, and as a result, you could see the stuns coming down really slow, and Suning in general were just caught in a weird position. If they backed out in formation, they probably still win this fight with the gold lead they had, but they were caught out in two places and hesitant to go in or out.
And that's the thing, is that happened multiple times. It was even also in the last fight that Fury wasn't hitting a lot of people with this ultimate, and we were talking about this during the lane phase. We're like, wow, Kennen into Rakan is actually quite tough for the Rakan to play because of how Kennen's W will work when Rakan tries to jump forward and knock him up. So do you think that this is the right champion that we're going to see teams continue to prioritize the Kennen ADC? Because we've seen it a lot in the LPL.
I think it's a strong champion, but the problem is if you go into the late game and actually doesn't put out enough damage, your AD, you don't have, your AP scalings do not work for you at all. And if you look at that late game build for the Kennen, because his auto attack range is so short, he actually went for triple sustain items, and that's very ineffective in terms of the damage that he's actually outputting. So I see it as a viable build, but only early mid game.
Okay, so we then get kind of into this mid-game. It looks like Suning might come back. There's a Baron fight. Things seem to go much better because you're like, okay, Suning's composition, yeah, they're great at carrying, you know, 1v1v1v1, but in a grouped-up 5v5 at this point in the game, Mundo was still such a massive threat.
Yeah, Mundo was definitely a big thing about it, and of course Darius is dead from this fight, so the big thing here is that they don't have one to really reset off the kills that they got earlier. They did get a snowball kill off of Kennen. Kennen didn't even get to use his ult, but they didn't have the follow-up damage to really contest with everything here, and frankly, I actually feel like this is a symptom of Vici playing their advantages way too slow.
Now, when you talk about slow advantages, what would you have wanted from Vici? Why did they fall into this trap, and how could they have avoided that?
So Vici had an established split pusher already, and they had a Nocturne. Darius, definitely. Okay. And what they should have done with that is they should have played a kind of triangle type of split push where you park Nocturne in the jungle, have 3-man push down the mid, and Darius in the bot lane. That way your 2v2 in the bot will win against anything, and your 3v3 can also push unhindered. They did not take control of those 2 lanes. Instead, they tried to cover all 3 and were pushed back by Suning.
And then, of course, lost their Darius, which means they lost that team fight there, but it's okay because at that point, if you cut the tape, you're like, okay, Suning are going to close this out. This is going to be a 2-0.
It's gonna be easy.
But then when they fight with the Darius, suddenly you get a huge swing, and Audi showcasing that he is more than enough of a replacement for long.
Yeah, definitely good engage, timing out the Aurelia stuns as well. And the thing I really do want you to watch here is that actually Yoon did play this fairly well. He did knock out the Darius as soon as possible, but they couldn't get away from the CC lock stun chain that come in later from the Rakan and Yasuo. And once that first kill came through, like the Darius, the guillotine just went chopping heads 5 in a row, and it's just too hard of a team fight to finish for them. Suning, again, early mid-game fight, not spectacular in the late game.
Yeah, so see Suning fall apart at the seams. That said, it wasn't Audi that got man of the match. It was actually Caveman on the support there. Do you agree with that?
Caveman, he did his job. He did his job. That's all you can ask of a man.
But such a almost a redemption story of, you know, going 0-5 in his Alistar in game number 1, then getting man of the match for game number 2. We're now looking at game number 3 where Vici could, it would be a huge upset to take down
Darius.
Suning.
Darius is just going to ban out. I'm going to call it right now that Audi's just too good on this champion. His best games have been there so far. But of course, we do have to talk a little bit about Rakan, man of the match, and Caveman. He did follow up very well, and he did punish Kennen very well. If you saw those final 2 team fights, Kennen actually did not have his ult up most of the time.
Okay, well, that said, you've heard it from us. We're going to go into game 3 and decide if Vici actually can close this one out or if Suning will reign supreme. We'll see you right on the other side of this break.